Me laugh. It was such a long time ago. I can't think of any better way to spend a few minutes than talking about basketball and life with the one, the only it. What is your perspective on where LeBron and the Lakers are right now?
Well, I think they put Luke Walton in a bad situation from day one, because I said before the season, are the Lakers a team, they bought in all those veteran guys, are they a team trying to make the playoffs, or they're trying to figure out what young guys they're going to have going forward? So I said from day one, this thing wasn't going to work. And Jalen knows this. You can't be trying to win and develop young guys at the same time. It's either got to be A or B. It can't be A and B. And I thought from the beginning they put Luke Walton in a bad situation. The team was going to be, everybody says, well, before LeBron got hurt. Well, you have to go back and look at the schedule. That was the easiest part of their schedule. The Lakers had the toughest stretch finishing up. That was always going to be the key, whether they finished 5, 6, 7, or 8. But this thing has been screwed up from the beginning. The Lakers need to make a decision. Were they trying to make the playoffs, which they're not going to, or we're trying to develop our young nucleus? And they didn't have a game plan, and that's why it's not working.
Charles, who do you blame for the Lakers' debacle this year?
That's a great question, Jalen. Like I say, I blame the organization because, you know what, they had no direction. Like I say, we always talk about all the good young players, Ingram, Ball, Hart, Kuzma. Those guys, and then you bring in JaVale, Lance, Rondo, Michael Beasley, and, you can't play everybody. And you know how those veteran guys are, Jalen. They're not here just to stand around and watch the young guys play. So, like I say, I blame the organization for not having a direction. Like I said, you either have to make a decision. Are we trying to win now? Or are we trying to win going forward with LeBron? Let's figure out who we're going to have forward are these young guys. And they've screwed that up totally.
Charles Barkley is with us on Get Up. Next thing I wanted to ask you about, we saw the Warriors lose terribly last night at home to Boston. And I know you were watching earlier. We had a conversation about some of the things that don't seem quite right with them. I guess I would ask the question this way. Do you think they are vulnerable in the playoffs this year?
Yes, because it seems to me like they're disinterested. The Andrew Bogut thing brings a red flag to me. With all the talent they got, with Boogie Cousins and everything that everybody says, like, well, they got Boogie now, they're unbeatable. For them to, right at the end of the season, they feel like they needed more help, that's a red flag to me. It tells me they need some stability in the locker room. They want some guy. That to me is a red flag. I got to admit that.
And then, Charles, the real reason that we said we wanted to get you on here primarily this morning was in the wake of all the stuff that's been happening, the comments that Kyrie Irving has made and some others have. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, when speaking at the Sloan Analytics conference over the weekend, talked about, for lack of a better way of putting it, the mental health of the league. And I thought what he said was fascinating. Let's all listen to this together.
I think part of it is a direct product of social media.
Yes.
And I think those players we're talking about, when I meet with them, what strikes me is that they are truly unhappy.
They are truly unhappy. NBA players truly unhappy. Charles Barkley, you're a Hall of Famer. What's your reaction?
I think that's probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard Adam say. And listen, he's a great guy, but that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of any commissioner say. Listen, Greeny, these guys are making $20, $30, $40 million a year. They work 6, 7 months a year. We stay at the best hotels in the world. They ain't got no problems. That's total bogus. And let me tell you something else. Kyrie Irving, I don't know him that well. He seems like a good kid, but I've never seen a person so miserable to have so much success, to have the world in the palm of his hand. He's going to make $40, $50 million a year for the next 10, 15 years. He's already won a world championship. He's in the movies. But he's got to be one of the most miserable people I've ever seen. He wanted to go to Boston because he wanted to have his own team. And what a lot of these guys don't understand is when you're a star, and I've been a star, you get all the credit, but you get all the blame. That ain't right. That ain't fair. That's just how it is. That's the way this whole thing works. You know, nobody runs to Jaylen Brown or the Morris brothers or Gordon Hayward. They gonna come to Kyrie Irving after every game. That's the responsibility with being a great player, being a star. And like I say, we can all get on television and complain about, oh, I can't wait to get away from this. Like, no, dude, we're paying you $40 million a year. You ain't never gonna get away from this. And if your team if your team don't win, like, listen, as a guy who was a star, Greedy, have I ever heard you say that the Sabalos didn't win the championship? Mm-hmm. Have I ever heard you say Mark West didn't win the championship? What does everybody say? Charles Barkley didn't win the championship. I got to accept that. I got to live with that. But that's just how this thing works. Nobody said Mark West is one of the greatest guys I ever played with in my life. But I've never heard anybody get on TV and say, man, that Mark West didn't win the championship.
You've got the entire studio hysterical laughing, Charles, but he's making an extremely important and very good point.
Charles, what do you think about the way players, in particular Kevin Durant and Kyrie, are handling the conversations as it relates to their free agency that's pending this summer?
Well, I think if I'm a New York Knicks fan, I'm leery, because if you can't play in Cleveland and Boston, Oklahoma City, and San Francisco, you cannot take the heat in New York. Greeny, you know firsthand. You've been a New York person your whole life. Mm-hmm. In New York, you think it's hot in that frying pan. Wait till you get to New York. I think both of these guys have handled it awful. They could have said day one, hey, I'm not going to discuss free agency, and it would have been over. Instead, they want to talk about it every single day. And then when you guys ask them about it every single day, they complain about it every single day. They should have said at training camp, hey, I'm not going to discuss free agency. And if you ask me anything about free agency for the rest of the season, I'm going to say next question and keep it moving. They both handle it awful. And they think, listen, let me tell you something. I've been around a long time. Those two guys in New York City would be must-see TV every week, especially if they're losing.
Charles Barkley, it is, as I said, there is never anything better than spending a few minutes talking with you in the morning. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll see you on TNT this week and hopefully sometime real soon. Thanks a million, Charles.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. Hey, Maria, keep up the great work. You other guys on ice.
You better do it live. You better do it live. That's right, Chuck. That's right.
While we're here, keep it at this table a second. I don't know what we were planning on doing. It doesn't matter. Let's just focus on that for a second. Because you made this point earlier, and Marcus, you're sitting here. Marcus and Maria were sitting here as the conversation was going on, and everyone is kind of cheering and yelling and all of that. So, I mean, I think that there is a feeling in the world. People don't ever want to acknowledge that people who seem to have everything have any problems at all. But Charles Barkley just said it. I mean, he has been a star. He knows exactly what it is like to walk in the shoes of someone like Kyrie Irving. What did you make of what Charles just said there?
And not to dismiss that we have people that deal with anxiety and deal with depression. So I'm taking those issues off of the table. What Charles is talking towards and what I was talking about yesterday is the media following you as an athlete is different than the paparazzi following you as an entertainer. Like, the only thing the media is trying to do is talk to you about your job. That's it. And there have times when you're available and you have times when you're not available. These relationships only happen 10 minutes a day. Yeah. Talk to you before practice, talk to you after practice. Talk to you before the game, talk to you after the game. And you know what the conversation is going to be, regardless of how well you play, regardless of how poor the team plays. So how you handle it becomes a personal choice.
I'd like to hear your perspective on this.
It's simple for me. It's voluntary. You don't have to play. You don't have to be in the NBA. Like there is always this narrative when people get on television that we need to make this harder than what it is. Look, the fact that Kyrie Irving and all of these players that's complaining like making $30 million a year, they overcome the media. Right. If they weren't making $30 million a year, you would understand some of the gripe, like you mentioned with the WNBA lady. Right. Now, if it was a WNBA player on television talking about the media scrutiny and the things that they going through, and my wife played in the WNBA for $35,000 a year,
Boom.
then you have a gripe. You are a willing participant in something where you know this is going to continually happen.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, money is not the end all be all. They got people with money. Like, if Bill Gates had Oprah Winfrey money, he'll jump off a bridge, right? So it's all relative to when you having the conversation. But with that being said, Kyrie Irving, you don't have to play in the NBA. Like, we all can go work wherever we want to work. You went to Duke. You got a great education. You're a smart guy. There's a lot of other things you can do where the media won't follow you around.
Media fills your pockets up.
They
Never
do.
forget it. Media rights, television rights, and the fact that people are talking about you enough to allow you to be in movies and do other things.
But it's more than just a game. Like, it's sponsorship.
Yes.
It's endorsements. It's popularity.
Popularity
that allow
as well.
your social media to flourish.
No question.
That allow you to press in and get a check in return.
Yeah, listen, he had his press conference yesterday wearing an Uncle Drew hat. It was his movie. We left you with a trivia question, and I wanted to make sure we did at least pay that one off so folks could get to see it. Swagoo, it's a good question. Kyler Murray could go #1 overall. Baker Mayfield was the first pick last year. True or false, Lincoln Riley would become the first coach ever to produce multiple quarterbacks drafted #1 overall. Doesn't have to be consecutive seasons.
False, but I don't know who the guy is.
And the reason you don't know is because it's never happened. The correct answer is true.
Oh,
7 different
whoa.
coaches have produced multiple first overall picks, but none of them ever did it with 2 quarterbacks. The happiest man in the room is Himbo. As we continue. Did you hear what Bryce Harper said about